Have you ever gotten an espresso drink at Starbucks and thought to yourself, man, this is good. I wish I could make a cup of coffee like this. Well, now you can. Today I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect cup of coffee, in my opinion. So I know so much about this because I was tired of spending $5 every time I went to Starbucks for this teeny tiny cup of coffee. And so I went online and I taught myself, and I've been doing it almost every day now. And it's delicious. So although making the perfect cup of coffee is not easy and it takes a little bit of practice, it really just comes down to three simple things: the beans, the brew, and the additives. So to begin with, the beans, I use Starbucks Espresso Roast whole beans, and I'll talk about the whole beans in just a few minutes. I just really like this because it tastes like Starbucks, like you would get at a Starbucks store, and it really says on the front, the heart of our handcrafted latte, which is what I usually drink. So this is my preference. But any espresso bean that you have a preference to will work. What won't work is regular coffee beans. It just won't give you the same depth of flavor. It'll be too weak, and it won't be crisp and smoky like an espresso would. The grind. This is a really important aspect. So grinding beforehand, like with your whole beans, really releases the essential oils within your coffee, which is what makes espresso just that much better. So what I do is I take the scoop that my espresso maker came with, and one scoop is about one shot, so I usually make 2 shots. So I put 2 scoops in here, and then I make sure my grinder is on fine, because you want the grind a little bit before all-purpose flour. That's how fine it has to be. So buzz buzz, and then once I think it's gotten to the right consistency, I do the pinch test. So what I do is I take a pinch of espresso between my fingers and I squeeze. And so once I let go, if there's like a little espresso pancake, that's really the great consistency that you want. But if it's still kind of coarse and falling apart, shove it back in there, buzz it a few more times, and then you should be good to go. So what I do after that is I take my little portafilter, and I take the scoop and I take all the scoops out of the grinder as I can. And it should come up all the way to the top. That's okay. It's going to be tamped down. So you have to make sure that there's no grinds on the edge, because if you do, there will be in your coffee, and that's not what you want. And then we tamp. Tamping is just pushing all of the grinds down to the bottom so that they're all stuck together, and I'll talk about pressure in a few minutes. I have a measuring cup, which is my tamp. It's not an official tamp, but it does the same pressure. So what you do is you put it on the countertop, you take your tamp, and you push as hard as you possibly can. About 30 pounds of pressure is what's needed to tamp correctly, and then it should be tamped all the way down. And it was at the top, and now it should be on the middle at the 2 line. So that means it'll make 2 shots. So what you do after that, you put it in your portafilter holder, and you put it in the espresso machine, and then you're good to go. Once you brew the coffee and it cools down, you should be able to just slide the coffee out. That's how tamped it should be. And it's actually called a puck, and I have one here, and this is what it should be like. It should not fall apart, and it should be rock solid, and it should just slide out of your portafilter. So that's that. So now that we have the brew, or the beans down, let's talk about the brew. So the pressure is what's most important here. The difference between a strong coffee and an espresso is the pressure, how much water is being pressurized through the grinds. If it's too thin, if the tamp is too thin, you won't get a deep flavor. You'll just get like weak, watered down coffee, and all it does is just wash the coffee beans. And if it's too tamped down, the process will halt and you won't get any espresso whatsoever. And really the pressure dictates how strong your espresso is. The machine. So this is my machine. It's an El Cheapo. It was like 30 bucks at like Kohl's or something. But really you can get any one that you want, and you don't have to spend $1,000 on it. The El Cheapo ones work just fine. They have one on Amazon that people rave by, and you put it all in together and then you pressurize it yourself with your hands. People love it. Now that we have the pressure and the brew down, let's talk about the additives. So just some milk and sugar in your espresso is fine, but I know how to make a Starbucks special. So what I do is I take 2% milk. 2% is what makes it special, and I froth it. Not all espresso makers have a frother, but mine so happen to has one. So what I do is I put half a cup of milk in my mug, and I put it under this steamer, turn it on, and I like just twirl it around so that it all steams, and you'll see the foam come up and everything. And then once that's done, you can add some sweetness. You can either add already made creamer, which would be like your milk, like additives, or you can add some sugar. So I have a couple here. I have like hazelnut roasted flavoring syrup, which is pretty good, but it's not my favorite, honestly. I like the vanilla one better. But I also have, this is my secret, sweetened condensed milk. So what I do is, after I've steamed my milk and I've brewed my coffee in my shots, I take about 2 or 3 tablespoons of this and I stir it into the milk, and then I take the milk and stir it into my coffee, and that's what makes it Starbucks special. So you can also add peppermint extract if you want, hazelnut extract like I said, vanilla, or any other flavorings that you want. By mastering the beans, the brew, and the additives, that is one way that you can save money. I've actually read a statistic lately that says you can save up to $1,000 a year if you go to Starbucks every day and get a grande. And you make it at home, it's $1,000 you're saving a year. It's crazy. But yeah, that's how you make a delicious espresso, and I hope you go home and make one tonight. Thank you.